Jonah is so different from the Lord when it comes to forgiveness. Because here's God and he's pouring grace out on the city of Nineveh. This was one of the most violent cities in the ancient world. They had refined the art of torture in ways that are probably best not repeated because they would give nightmares. I mean, these were wicked, violent people. And of course, they were the enemies of Israel. And in future history, it was the Assyrian Empire, and Nineveh was at the very center of that God allowed to overrun the 10 northern tribes. Jonah was very conscious of the threat, and so would have preferred judgment to have come upon these folks. I mean, if they'd been wiped out, then the future might have been different from Israel. That's his kind of logic. And so he's not into forgiveness at all in relation to these folks. He's really into God's judgment because that's what they deserve. That's his position. And it's absolutely fascinating. In chapter 4, he says this is the reason that he didn't want to go and preach the message of forgiveness. He actually says, I knew that you are a gracious God. I knew that you're merciful. I knew that you are slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love. And therefore, he's saying that's why I did not go to Nineveh. That, you're gracious, you're merciful, you're abounding in steadfast love. That was a statement of praise that was commonly used from the book of Deuteronomy amongst the Jewish people. And Jonah takes what was a statement of praise and he turns it round and he says, that's exactly what bothers me about you, God. That really bothers me. Grace. Grace actually angers a lot of people. But grace leads others to worship. Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated. Does that make you angry or does that make you worship? Because what God did in Nineveh was an example of his free, sovereign, kind, giving, for no reason, with no merit. He just forgives and he just pours out mercy. And that's the freedom of God. And Jonah said, I got a problem with that. And God is really saying, well, if you've got a problem with that, I, God, have a problem with you. And eventually Jonah's coming to confess that he needs to learn more of the heart of God because God knows what compassion is all about.